Okay, what you're looking at is an Excel spreadsheet, and I've already put quite a bit of data into it, and I'll explain how I've done that. Before I do that, you can see right here where I've selected kind of an empty box. That's actually called a cell. If I click on the A, you can see here these are columns that I'm selecting, and if I go over here to the left side, these are the rows that I'm selecting. So if I use the terms cell or column or row, you know what I'm talking about. So the first bit of data that I put in here is the actual names of all the students and their test scores. And right now, if I were to make a graph of that, I could, select both these columns. I could come up to Insert. I could click on the column view, and I can just click on the first, the column here. I could do the 3D to make it look fancy. I'm just going to click there. And you can see here there's a distribution of scores, and they're all kind of randomly in there. And I think I'd like to be able to look at that data a little bit better. So I'm going to click on that. Make sure I've clicked the edge of this particular table, hit the delete, and that'll go away. What I'm going to do actually is I want to sort it by the score. So I selected that column, and I'm going to come up here to where it says data. I click there, and I'm going to come over here to where it says sort. And I click on that sort. It's going to ask me, do I want to expand the selection? And I have to be careful, because if I say yes, watch what will happen. It's going to pick if I go by score here, it's going to pick that information up, and I click OK. And if you can see now, what's going to happen here is, because I had a space, it didn't organize all this data, but here's the scores, and they are in by value now. So now if I collect all of this, and what I'm doing is clicking and dragging to kind of select that, I click on Insert, I click on my column, and there, now you can see there's the distribution of scores from lowest to highest. And I can actually start thinking about, okay, so student A and student E, those students aren't going to need a whole lot of, student A doesn't need any teaching whatsoever, and student E is very, very close to knowing this information. So they're going to be easy to get past through this lesson. And students D and H, and maybe even KG, F, and C, this area right here, they're going to be able to get by with just a little bit of teaching. And then students J and I were probably students I'll have to keep an eye on, but I'm pretty sure that they'll be able to get the gist of the lesson. And then down here, student B, they may be an intervention student. They may be someone that, if I knew the student, I'd say, oh, they picks things up pretty quickly. Maybe they wouldn't be. Maybe I don't have an intervention in this group. And so I'd be able to kind of figure out where these students fit onto that other chart. The next section here is what I've put here is this is the number of correct answers on the test. So, one student got a 9, and one student got a 10, that kind of a thing. And what I'm going to do here again is instead of sorting it this time, I'm going to go ahead and just collect both those columns. Go to Insert, I'm going to click on the column view, pick my column, and you'll see here now this is kind of the distribution of the scores. Going to move that down a little bit so you can see it. And you can see here that most of my students got 7. You can see almost kind of a strange bell-shaped curve. I had one student with a 3, one with a 5, one with a 6, and 7 was a big group, and then it kind of went down from there. And so this is just a distribution of the scores, and I can use that information. And the third column I have, and that's the question number. How many got question number 1 right, number 2 right? And so again, I can select both those columns, and I can come up to Insert, go to Column View, and this time, just to be fancy, I'll do the 3D column and click that. And as you can see here, I can move this chart over here. And you can see here that I can see, well, okay, so these questions, questions 1 and 2 weren't so hard. Question 7 wasn't so hard. But boy, that question 6, only the kid who got 10 right got question 6 right. And so that was a tough one. So that would be something I would make sure. What is it about question 6 that would concern me? When these charts are activated, see how the frame is around this chart and not around this chart? When it's activated like this, you can actually copy, but you can right-click copy, or you can do a Control C for copy. And then if you wanted to, you could open up a Word document and then paste it in there. I'm just going to open up a Word document here just to kind of show you that I could paste it in there. And hopefully it's going to show up here any moment. There it is. And so I could, I can write things underneath that, or use that information. So that basically is how you're going to chart. Remember, there's 3 pieces of data that you're going to collect is, a distribution of the scores. And if you want to, you can click on here and you can, type that in. Of the scores, I can fix that. And then this here is correct responses. Is that SES? And then over here, what would this title be? I would have to there's a different way to add the title. You have to kind of go in and insert a title, or I don't know. So make sure that you have a title for this particular one. I did something wrong, but anyway. And so I could put the title in that. But that's basically what you would do for this particular collecting the data. If you have any questions, of course, email me. I've done this on the PC. It's pretty much exactly the same on a Mac. But if you have any particular questions, ask me, because I'm actually bilingual. I speak both Mac and PC.